not read this, you're going to be, you're just really missing it because this is just so, you've got to read this. This is just important. Okay, next semester I'm starting with this. Because you've got to read this. Does anybody remember about the house? Please? No? Okay. I'll tell you the story. Okay. I know, it's the end of the semester. Okay. What happens is Uncle Buck and Uncle Buddy get the house. The big house. Problem is it's not quite finished. It's missing, primarily it's missing a back door. Now, Faulkner is writing at the time when socialism is becoming a question or a possibility. I mean, Marx was actually touring, believe it or not, Karl Marx was actually touring at the same time that Emerson, he was on the lecture circuit while Emerson, Ralph Waldo Emerson, was touring, Romantics. This is like the century before. So we've got this in people's minds that, okay, the working classes may rise up. There's this idea of equality and that sort of thing that's really kind of challenging the mind. Uncle Buck and Uncle Buddy, it's posited, are somewhat communist, perhaps, or they're, I mean, it's an anachronism to say that about them because they're alive at a time when that kind of doesn't work. But Faulkner may be positing this as a solution. What they do, they have the slaves move into the big house, and then they go build themselves a cabin, and they do it themselves except for when they have to have logs raised and stuff like that. The story says that they have their own little cabin and they let the slaves live in the big house, which still isn't finished. They keep the appearance of holding slaves because they're in the South by every night they have all of the slaves go into the big house and they count them as they go in the front door and they lock the front door. But there's no back door on the house. And so they just kind of say, okay, they're all there, and as long as they're all there when they get up in the morning, that's just fine. So it's very weird. It's still, they die in 1879, they inherit the land at that point before the end of the war. Also, I don't know, and I honestly don't know what Faulkner's saying because I don't think Faulkner has an answer to the problem of now what do you do in the early 1900s. What do the words Amadeus, and these are brothers, Theophilus, and these are the ones that are trying to figure out what to do pre-Civil War with the big house. Okay, theo is like in theology. What is theo? What?
I was going to say theo is love, right?
Love? What is theo? God, yes, good. Amo?
Love.
Love.
Twice.
Deus?
Two. Love twice. Oh, God.
Deum, de Deo.
Earlier.
Deus. Okay. I'm trying to think of a word that you would. Dominus. Dominus? You don't need Dominus for these.
In Spanish,
What is? Dios. Okay, Dios in Spanish, yes. Okay, so both of them have names that refer to the love of God. I don't know why. Honestly, I'm not real sure. Except that they seem to be trying to do something good. Instead of saying, we're going to be the masters and all this, it's kind of like they're just saying, well, now what do we do? So they let the slaves live in a house that's not done yet. I don't know. And then what does Ike come along and do? They give it to him, and what is his grand solution? He relinquishes the land. He says, it's not mine. I don't want it. Somebody else can have it. Is that a good solution? What did you do with the money?
I didn't want it.
You didn't want it. So did you give it to Logan? What'd you do with it?
I don't know. Turned it in.
You turned it in. ill-got or it's cursed, what do?
You flee.
You run away, okay. Yeah, that might work. What about okay, let's think Native Americans, okay? I live in Chickasaw, Alabama. Maybe there were Indians that used to live in what's now my backyard or front yard. Maybe it belonged to them. Is it mine?
Well, you live in a house.
I have a house there now, yes.
Yeah, but the land's not yours.
But the land's not mine. But should I give it back to the Chickasaw Indians?
Mhm.
Why not? It was stolen from them.
It's too late now.
It's too late, yeah, it's too late now.
Well, but they don't have a place to live except on a reservation, and that's not working out.
But it's kind of like, even if you gave them the land back, it still wouldn't be the same, because now it's already, like, technology's coming, and it's changed, like, the land has changed so much.
So you kind of can't go back.
You can't go back.
So what should he do with the land? Can you just relinquish a relationship with land and culture and the wilderness and... No? And what happens when you just say, oh, and okay, I know, we're right at time, but you have to read this with me because it's hysterical. Apparently didn't read this, I bet you did. Okay. We are now on page... You have to read this because it's just a page. Okay, page 2199. Okay. Isaac gets married, and his wife wants the property. His wife really wants the property because, I mean, hey, it's a lot of property. He shouldn't give it away. They can use it and get rich, right? I mean, wouldn't that be the thing to do? But, okay, should he use the land and get rich? Or should he parcel it out to other people? Or what should he do? Well, he just kind of says, it's not mine. I don't want it. So, his wife. Okay, here we go. This is the third line from the top on 2199. I love you. You know I love you. When are we going to move? Because they're living in a boarding house. I mean, he's got a plantation and they're living in a boarding house. And I didn't know. Who told you? The hot, fierce palm clapped over his mouth, crushing his lips into his teeth. The fierce curve of fingers digging into his cheek, and only the palm slapped off enough for him to answer. The farm. Our farm. Your farm. And I, the hand, finger and palm, the whole enveloping weight of her, although she still was not touching him save the hand, the voice. No, no, and the fingers themselves seeming to follow through the cheek. The impulse to speech as it died in his mouth. Then the whisper, the breath again of love and of incredible promise. The palm slackening again to let him answer. When? And then she was gone, and the hand too, standing her back to him and her head bent, the voice so calm now that for an instant it seemed no voice of hers that he ever remembered. Stand up and turn your back and shut your eyes. And repeated before he understood and stood himself with his eyes shut and heard the bell ring for supper. Below stairs, and the calm voice again, lock the door. And he did so and leaned his forehead against the cold wood, his eyes closed, hearing his heart and the sound he had begun to hear before he moved until it ceased and the bell rang again below stairs, and he knew it was for them this time. And he heard the bed and turned, and he had never seen her naked before. He had asked her to once, and why? That he wanted to see her naked because he loved her, and he wanted to see her looking at him naked because he loved her. But after that, he never mentioned it again, even turning his face when she put the nightgown on over her dress to undress at night and putting the dress on over the gown to remove it in the morning, and she would not let him get into bed beside her until the lamp was out, and even in the heat of the summer, she would draw the sheet up over them both before she would let him turn to her. And the landlady came up the stairs, up the hall, and rapped on the door, and then called their names, but she didn't move, lying still on the bed outside the covers, her face turned away on the pillow, listening to nothing, thinking of nothing, not of him. Anyway, he thought. Then the landlady went away, and she said, take off your clothes. Her head still turned away, looking at nothing, thinking of nothing, waiting for nothing, not even him. her hand moving as though with volition and vision of its own, catching his wrist at the exact moment when he paused beside the bed, so that he never paused, but merely changed the direction of moving. Downward now, the hand drawing him, and she moved at last, shifted, a movement one single complete inherent, not practiced, and one time older than man. Looking at him now, drawing him still downward with the one hand down, and he neither saw nor felt it shift. Palm flat against his chest now, and holding him away with the same apparent lack of any effort or any need for strength, and not looking at him now. She didn't need to. The chaste woman, the wife, already looked upon all the men who ever rutted, and now her whole body had changed, altered. He had never seen it but once, and now it was not even the one he had seen, but composite of all woman flesh, since man, that ever of its own will reclined upon its back and open, and out of it somewhere, without any movement of lips even, the dying and invincible whisper, promise. And he, promise? The farm. He moved. He had moved, the hand shifting from his chest once more to his wrist, grasping it, the arm still lax, and only the light increasing pressure of the fingers, as though arm and hand were a piece of wire cable with one loop in. Only the hand tightening as he pulled against it. No, he said, no. And she was not looking at him still, but not like the other, but the still hand. No, I tell you, I won't. I can't, never. And still the hand, and he said for the last time. He tried to speak clearly, and he knew it was still gently, and he thought, she already knows more than I, with all the men listening in camps where there was nothing to read, ever even heard of. They are born already bored with what a boy approaches only at 14 and 15 with blundering and aghast trembling. I can't, not ever, remember. And still the steady and invincible hand, and he said yes. And he thought, she is lost. She was born lost. We were all born lost. And then he stopped thinking, and even saying yes. It was like nothing he had ever dreamed, let alone heard in mere man talking, until after a no time he returned and lay spent on the insatiate at Memorial Beach. And again, with a movement one time more older than man, she turned and freed herself, and on their wedding night she had cried, and he thought she was crying now at first, into the tossed and wadded pillow, the voice coming from somewhere between the pillow and the cachinnation. And that's all from me. If this don't get you that son you talk about, it won't be mine. Lying on her side, her back to the empty rented room, laughing and laughing. Now, okay, what she's doing is she's trying to get him to keep the land, use the land, and he's refusing. His refusal to use the land puts him in the same situation as being a parent. If you don't do anything with it, if you just say, it's not mine, it's kind of like, and Faulkner is not making a reference to the passage in Revelation about lukewarm. But, it's like, at least be hot or cold, but don't be lukewarm. There's this sense that if you're lukewarm, nothing comes of it. He has no children. If you look at the family tree, he never has children. There's this sense that something must be done, at least try something. Okay, so Faulkner's saying, do something. We just don't know what. Okay, see you Wednesday. Please bring both this book and the one before so we can find quotes.
We need both.